Kibaki has offered to meet the country's main opposition leader on Friday in an attempt to bring to a halt the violence sweeping the region. But could it be too little too late? Police say now more than 600 people have been killed in the fighting following the presidential election, but some sources say the true picture is nearer 1,000 or more. 250,000 people have fled their homes now in clashes between supporters of the rival parties. Kenya's divided into 9 provinces. Any presidential candidate hoping to win an election has to gain 25% of the vote in at least 5 of them. Much of the ethnic strife is centred on the Rift and Central provinces. Here, members of the Kikuyu tribe, followers of President Kibaki, are reportedly being forced to rift into the neighbour in an askew in position. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Miller reports Eldoret and Molo people have been brutally forced to move from one village to another.
Molo, 4 hours northwest of Nairobi. The first thing you see when you get there is hundreds of people trying to leave. The number uprooted by tribal clashes in the western Rift Valley has been revised massively upwards to more than 250,000. An estimated 40,000 of them fled to Molo. Today, some food may finally be on its way to these people. It can't come quick enough. The UN said 100,000 are at risk of starvation. These are mostly Kikuyu, terrorized and forced from their farms by Kalenjin vigilantes. The alleged rigging of results here in Molo was what first angered the opposition in Kenya and triggered the worst tribal violence in decades.
Oh, they are coming with the machetes, pagas, arrows and bows, and even guns. They are well armed and well controlled.
Did you see people killed with your own eyes?
Yes, my friends, and also them, have been killed.
This man was hacked by Kalenjin wielding machetes on Tuesday. I must praise God, he told me. Praise God I wasn't killed.
They did not say anything, but they cut. Just cutting.
A steady stream of fresh arrivals. These people trucked into Molo under armed escort, joining the 4,500 already sheltering in this church compound. They'd been pinned down in a police station for days. In the week of squabbling since the election, Kenyans have lost confidence in their nation and are reverting to tribal identities. They may be inching closer to each other politically down in Nairobi, but out here in the countryside, communities have never been further apart. Where have you come from and why did you leave?
From the other side.
Why did you leave?
We were vacated by the people. They don't want us.
The Kalenjin.
The Kalenjin community.
The government says Kikuyu are being ethnically cleansed for political reasons, gerrymandering at the point of a panga. We headed up into the hills in the direction the displaced Kikuyu had come from. We picked up an armed escort, paramilitary police, who stopped to assist a woman and child who'd been hiding in the bush at the roadside. These men have become targets themselves. Privately, some admit to division in their ranks. They'd said it was safe as outsiders for us to go on alone into what they said was now Kalenjin territory. The road, empty. Occasional burned vehicles, charred tarmac, and shattered glass. Ahead, a tractor load of displaced people, also heading into Kalenjin territory.
Where are you going? Why? Where are you from?
They'd come from a village just back down the road. It wasn't just the Kikuyu who'd fled from their homes around here. At Kerenget town, our vehicle was surrounded the minute we stopped. These men are all Kalenjin, who, like the Luo, support the opposition of Raila Odinga, who claims his Kikuyu adversary, Mwai Kibaki, stole the election. They seemed pumped up, some brandishing weapons.
We are the Kerengeti Massive and crew. No peace without Raila.
The Kerengeti Massive and crew, a Kalenjin gang. Some of these men, probably responsible for the hacking, killing and burning that purged the Kikuyu.
There is no more Kikuyu. No more Kikuyu. They are only in Muchorwe.
Okay.
You can find the Kikuyus in Muchorwe and then you go beyond that place.
And what has happened to their farms, their houses?
They've
been burned. Were many people killed?
Many.
Over 300 people.
You think more than 300 people killed?
Yeah, at present only.
Yes, so it's around 300.
In this area here?
Yeah,
exactly.
Because we had heard that in all of Kenya, 300 people have been killed.
No.
This is the Gage.
Over Kenya, only almost 1,000 people.
Today, the Kenyan police dramatically increased their estimate of those killed, nearly 500 nationwide, they say. Other government sources suggest 600, while aid workers say it could go much higher. The tractor had arrived with its homeless Kalenjin, but there's no shortage of newly vacated farms for them to move into. The Kikuyu had made up around 10% of the population up here.
That place they are Kikuyus, and we are fearing because it's like a political war, and we are fearing that place, so we have decided to evacuate from that place to come here to seek for refuge.
So you lost your homes, you left your homes and brought everything with you?
Yeah, they have blown everything there. So
they burned everything?
Everything. Everything.
Really?
Yeah.
In Nyota?
Yeah, in a place called Nyota.
We set out back down the road to find their village, where they said 10 people had been killed. Along the way, small groups of more displaced Kalenjin.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we found. Charred and abandoned shambas or farmsteads. People and animals gone. Silence. Well, this is the village of Nyota, where that tractor load of people you just saw had come from. It's totally deserted now, not a soul around. And what we think happened here is that where once Kikuyu and Kalenjin lived as neighbours, they've now ethnically cleansed each other. First of all, we think the Kikuyu were driven out, their houses burned down, and they all went that way, down to Molo. And then they turned up in a form of organised resistance and drove their former Kalenjin neighbours out that way. Where I'm now standing, this road is a sort of front line now. This is no man's land. The theory is that Kalenjin forced out the Kikuyu because, with them gone, Kibaki would have no hope of winning any rerun of the disputed election. The Kikuyu had struck back in revenge. Just then, the tractor came back. Those whose houses hadn't been burned wanted to salvage their possessions. Among them Alice, in the red shirt, a single woman and a farmer. These were her fields, she said. She didn't want to live here any longer. Too many of her neighbours were dead. A picture of Kibaki hung in Alice's room. She admitted she'd voted for him 5 years ago, and he'd seemed like a breath of fresh air. Alice's friends helped move out her furniture. Do you blame Kibaki?
Yeah, we are blaming him. Yeah, because the person who we choose is now out. Yeah. So we are blaming him because many people are now suffering.
Alice doesn't live here anymore. A Kenyan Democrat and one of the real losers of this disastrous election, which is balkanizing what was one of Africa's most ethnically diverse democracies. It's hard to imagine Alice living here again anytime soon. Jonathan Miller, Channel 4 News, in Kenya's Rift Valley.